Hey, welcome World Entertainment and Red Sonja, the new Red Sonja, which of course I have no idea what way they're releasing this thing. Apparently it's coming out on digital this week. I still don't know whether or not it's getting like more releases on big screens or not, but either way, it's coming out. And now they're talking about what the potential sequel could hold. And yeah, you've already guessed it via the thumbnail, Conan. Now, I said in my review of it, and if you haven't seen the review, I'll leave it linked in the description, that there was no actual mention of Conan himself. There was no real reference to it, except that she did say something about she heard about a legendary sword wielder from Cimmeria. So that obviously was hinting possibly Conan she was talking about. And now they are talking about a sequel, and the funny thing about this is the movie was made for so little money that, yeah, you could absolutely do the sequel, and pretty much the reactions, more so from the fans and critics, but even some of the critics, has been quite positive towards this movie. So I just hope it doesn't fall into that Solomon Kane territory where it was a good movie, but because of the company that was releasing it and stuff and the way they did it, that it ended up not being able to make money and stuff like that, so it pretty much ruined it moving forward. And you just kind of wonder, could the same thing happen here? And you would hope not, but if they do get the chance to do a sequel and they want to introduce Conan, I think that is the perfect opportunity for them not to just introduce Conan, but introduce him as King Conan and get Arnold Schwarzenegger back in there, because I'm sure he would do it. And why wouldn't you want to even try? Don't try and introduce some little beta cock dude as Conan. It's like, oh look, it's another Gen Zer that's pretending to be an alpha male. No, go and get the man himself who's sitting there ready to go as King Conan. That's what you should introduce. But let's have a look at this anyway. There's probably people going, no, you shouldn't do that. They should do that. But let's have a look anyway. So it is saying, whether Red Sonja will get a sequel remains to be seen, though the movie's relatively low budget can't hurt its chances. But if we do get another movie, there's a possibility that we'll see Matilda Lutz's she-devil with a sword join forces with another legendary sword and sorcery warrior. While Sonja and her fellow slaves escaped from Dragon's fighting pits with a little help from a gigantic cyclops, they are ultimately tracked down and ambushed by Anastasia and her forces. Sonja is bested in battle by Dragon's would-be empress, who runs her through and leaves her for dead. Sonja is then resurrected by the goddess Asherah, returning with a renewed ferocity to lay waste to Dragon's army and save her people. Now, just before I go on with this, that's trying to make it sound like a super girl bossy moment, and it's not. I even say that in my review. Yeah, she's kicking ass, but not in the way of she's picking dudes up and throwing them across rooms and stuff like that. It's not like that. And yeah, she gets her ass kicked as well, so it's not this real girl bossy crap. Plus, it's Red Sonja anyway, so she should be kicking ass, but they don't go in that direction of her lifting dudes up and beating them down and stuff like that. But anyway, it's continuing saying, when the battle is won, Sonja decides to ride out on her own to see more of the world, and mentions some of the places and people she's hoping to encounter, including the mighty barbarian king of Cimmeria. It's about as blatant as Conan the Barbarian tease as you could ask for, but we'll just have to wait and see if anything comes of it. As far as we know, there are no new Conan projects in active development. Red Sonja will be available on digital platforms from this Friday. So you're seeing even there that it was hinted, the Barbarian King. So that's, what more can that tell you? King Conan. Now, here's the thing though. she may not actually be talking about Conan. For all we know, she could be talking about Conan's father in this movie, because again, it's never actually all that clear. She doesn't specifically say Conan. There's no true mention of Conan. But if it's the mighty barbarian king, give us King Conan. Perfect opportunity to finally get Schwarzenegger back in as King Conan. And why wouldn't you do it? It would make all the sense in the world to do it that way. Now, here's the funny thing. It says the movie has been given an R rating for strong, bloody violence. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't quite remember it being overly violent. Yeah, it's violent and there was blood, but I don't remember it being like this super overly violent movie. She does like ride up with a dude's head and throws it, but you don't see her decapitate the guy. Was there any other stuff does happen, but I don't remember it being like super like, it's not gory violence. It's not that type of thing. But I enjoyed it. I was actually, the trailer was like, ooh, I'm not 100% sure. But then when you watch the movie, it was actually fun and enjoyable. And that was the main thing. It was fun. You had fun with it. And the fact that she wasn't this big girl boss that you kind of got worried. Again, even though it is Sonja, Red Sonja, you don't want her coming in and being able to just like punch a dude and knock him out, which is what we see now in modern Hollywood. The fights you saw with Bridget Nielsen's version of Red Sonja back in the 80s made sense to the certain degree that she's like 6 foot or 6'1" in actual life. Matilda Lutz obviously is not that. So the fact that she really does use the swords and weapons throughout the whole thing and is getting her ass kicked. The one thing I did forget to say in my review, at least I'm pretty sure I forgot to say it, which I may as well say here, is they also don't go with this big kind of romance angle or love story or anything like that in the movie. The trailer kind of made it look maybe like, oh, is this like gonna be her boyfriend kind of thing in the movie? No, there's none of that. She has no interest in hooking up with anyone, and it's not the case of, well, maybe she was gay. She's not gay either. She just really has no interest in any of that type of stuff. It's her main goal was to find her people. That was it. So the fact that they really just went, okay, we're gonna have her be a badass, but she's also gonna get her ass kicked. The guys are gonna be able to kick her ass. She's gonna be able to somewhat kick their ass, but it'd be more in armed combat rather than hand to hand and stuff like that. She's not gonna have a love interest. We're not gonna go down that road. It was just fun. And yeah, like the idea of a sequel, I'm all up for that. I would like to see another story in this universe with her. I thought Matilda Lutz was good in the role. I did say as well, she did start off a little rough at the very beginning of the movie. It was kind of like, uh-oh. But then all of a sudden it was like she got comfortable with the role somewhere along the line. It's like she was a bit hesitant to really kind of lean into it at the very beginning of the movie for like the first 4 or 5 minutes, and then she got really relaxed into it. And I think pairing her up with Arnold Schwarzenegger as King Conan, match made in heaven, man. A match made in heaven, because it's not like she has to go and search for this guy to have a love angle or anything like that. She doesn't need that. These movies don't need that. Doesn't need the romance or anything like that. She'll just be two badasses fighting sorcerers and demons and monsters and bad villains and stuff like that. So give us that. So hopefully this thing does well enough that it actually gets a sequel, because again, I actually enjoyed it, and I think a lot of you guys would enjoy it. So if you get the chance, check it out. A lot of you probably won't like it, and you'll probably think, oh, it's just too dumb and the visual effects are stupid and so. The visual effects are fine. There is one moment with the Cyclops, and I said in the review, and apparently it's been confirmed, I said it looks like they purposely made it bad to look like that kind of stop motion type of model, to kind of look and feel like it did in the original style of movies that it was a part of now. And it's been confirmed that that's exactly what they did with it. They wanted it to look like that, from like an old model maker from the original Conan movies and stuff like that. So cool, you know. But it's not going to be for everybody, but I do think a lot of yous will actually like it. So check it out if yous haven't already, and do obviously let us know what you think of the movie itself. Again, I'll leave the review for it, my review, in the description. And also let us know what you would think of an Arnold Schwarzenegger King Conan teaming up with Matilda Lutz version of Red Sonja. That, for me, would be cool, but let us know what you guys think. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And definitely like and share and subscribe and stuff, because YouTube's done its update. It's been silly again, so kind of hides things. And with that, cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.